Hey, happy Friday. I'm Wellness Coach Rebecca Dene Cortez, and this is the Wellness Checkup that I do most Fridays between 9 and 9:30 a.m. Central Time. It's kind of a rhythm of mine, not so much a strict routine. So that's really funny because today's topic is rhythms and routines and which one you might prefer for what circumstances. But first, I want you to know that my mission is to cultivate abundant life by coaching and consulting for better time management and goal achievement. And every week we do this wellness checkup where we kind of talk about some of the coaching topics I'm working on with clients or with workshops. I have a workshop coming up on crafting rhythms and routines this month. And then we do a little bit of meditative breathing, and I always close out with prayer. And the idea is that we would kind of gather and think about some things that contribute to our wellness and have better days for it. So today's topic, rhythms versus routines, you might consider which one serves you better. I've been sharing this week just posts all about the differences between rhythms and routines. So both involve having a set of activities, like a task list, for example. But with rhythms, you don't necessarily do it at a certain time, a specific set time, whereas routines, it's more scheduled. That's the way that I think about the difference between the two. And with rhythms, you don't necessarily do everything in the same order every time, but with routines, it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. It's a little more structured in that sense. But it's really helpful to sort of take a step back and consider which would serve you better, either based on your personality type, or like if you're a person who's really motivated by having a strict step-by-step routine, that can be great to apply that to more areas of your life. Or if you're someone who's really focused on mindfulness in this phase of life and just wanting to see how you feel and then do the next thing accordingly, applying more rhythms throughout your day might be really helpful. But rhythms and routines can both contribute to a better day and a better life. So that's why we're taking the time to explore them. So you might choose to apply a rhythm when outcomes aren't strictly necessary. So it's like, oh, I have a running rhythm because I run for fun and it's enjoyable and I'm not preparing for a race or anything. So the outcomes are really just intrinsic and things that serve me personally. But if you were running to compete in a race, for example, you probably would benefit from having some kind of a routine where you have specific goals for each run, specific schedules for each run, things like that. I hope that makes sense. So when outcomes aren't strictly necessary, you might choose to make it a rhythm, or when other people aren't affected. So like I described, a more personal goal, a more personal endeavor that is sort of to serve you and not going to be either helpful or harmful to others. And then if you're doing something in a time frame that's not predictable, it can be nice to attach a rhythm to that activity or that set of activities because it's less pressure. So if you have a time frame that's not predictable, say you have a newborn baby, which I did like a year ago, nothing is that predictable. Nothing happens the way that you might expect it to. So coming up with rhythms, okay, I need to get these things done, within this day or this week. So I know I need to wash her diapers. I know I need to wash her clothes. There's a lot of washing with newborns, right? I've got to make sure that she has milk to drink. I've got to make sure she's taking her naps and I'm getting the rest that I need. So all these things have to happen, but with the time frame that everything's happening in, the day or the week, being so unpredictable, it can be really helpful and take a lot of pressure off to just have that list and be able to look at that list, but not have the pressure of doing the list, this is going to take 30 minutes and then this is going to take an hour, as if So if you find that you're in a situation where you thought maybe it would be predictable, so you came up with a routine and you've been trying to stick to that. It's probably very frustrating when you realize this actually is not a predictable time. And it might be beneficial to step back from the routine and make it a rhythm. So it's more like, well, I know I have to get these things done. I'm going to do this one and then see how I feel. What feels like the highest priority next? Okay, I'll do this one and then see how that feels. I hope that something is coming up in your mind as to where you could apply a rhythm to take some of that pressure and that frustration off of your day. Another time you might really want to practice the rhythm, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, is if you're practicing mindfulness. So if you're trying to bring your awareness to the present moment, if you're trying to consistently bring your awareness to your emotions and your thoughts and what's happening right now, and just kind of appreciate where you're at, what's going on around you, then practicing rhythms more frequently can be helpful, because having a routine that's very strict and like orderly in the sense that you do this, that, and the other in that order at that time every single day or week or whatever it is, it can take away from that connection with what's happening right now, that practice of mindfulness. So it's just helpful to consider, is this an area where I can afford to take away some of the structure in order to allow myself to be more mindful and more connected to the present moment? So that's when you might choose to apply rhythms. For me personally, one of the areas I love to use rhythms is for my mornings. So yes, I wake up at the same time most days. If I have an exception, it's because I'm trying to get a little extra sleep, or I'm getting up earlier because of a special event or something like that. But I generally wake up at the same time every morning, but then everything that flows from there for the next 2 or 3 hours is a rhythm. It's like, okay, I could do these things that I do every morning, but maybe this morning I want to lay in bed a little bit longer. So then I'll do my workout a little bit later in that 2 or 3 hour period to start my day. Or maybe I'm running today instead of doing yoga, so I want to get out earlier so that I can take my time towards the end of that period in the morning. Maybe I start with meditation most of the time, but I wanted to take a little bit longer meditation, so I'm going to do it at a different point within my morning rhythm. So all those things happen, but they don't all happen the same way every single time. And that's a really nice way for me to start my morning, because it lets me kind of pay attention to myself in a way that, I don't know, it gives freedom. It gives me a chance to do what feels best to set myself up for the best day possible. And I know that if I have these components of the rhythm in mind, it's going to be a great morning and the start of a great day. So you might want to choose a routine when the time frame serves as an anchor for yourself or others. So if you know that by you completing this routine, it's going to set yourself up and set others up for the rest of their day, for example, like you've got to have breakfast on the table by 7:30 so that kids can get to school on time, others in the family can get to work, or whatever the case may be. Having that time frame serve as an anchor for the rest of the day or for some other important activities, then you want to consider making it a routine. So that's more strict, not, it doesn't have to be strict, but having it done at a set time with the same steps in the same order every day, so that you're setting yourself up to kind of get comfortable with that order, and the mind and the body will come to expect this happens right before this happens. So for me, that's really helpful with my bedtime routine, so that I can start to wind down and my body can kind of understand it's getting ready to be time to go to sleep. And so I do that at the same time every day, and I do those steps in mostly the same order every time. And if I had to change it, I still try to keep the order and keep the set way of doing everything as much as possible, because that really does support me having the best sleep that I can. So you might choose a routine when the time frame serves as an anchor, but you also might choose a routine when you require a specific outcome. So like I mentioned earlier with the example of running, if you are training for a race, it can be really helpful to have a running routine, one that sets you up to progress at a specific pace with your ability to endure longer and harder runs so that by the time the race arrives, you're prepared. Having a routine to get there can serve you a lot better than having a rhythm where it's like, oh, maybe I do my workout, maybe I don't. You might regret that if you're working towards a specific outcome. And that can apply to so many things in life, not just physical activity. So I mentioned already, when others depend on the activities, it can be helpful to have a routine so that not only do you know what to expect, but they know what to expect. And it just serves everybody well. The time frame is predictable. When the time frame is predictable, you might also consider having a routine. So as an example, for work. So if you know that you have to be at work or at your desk at home working from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every single day, it can be helpful to make that time frame most effective by repeating the same routines throughout that time. So building in routines for getting the actual tasks done, but building in routines for taking helpful breaks, where you're not doing emails, you're not doing anything productive in that way, but that you're doing productive restful things, restorative things, like maybe a break for meditation. Adding that into your work routine can be really beneficial. So when the time frame is already predictable, like your work day or like a school day or like a kid's nap time or quiet time, what may the adult caregiver do in that time? Other predictable time frames that you know it's going to start here and end here, and you can fill in the gaps in between. That can be really beneficial to use a routine. And then the last note that I have for maybe choosing a routine is when you don't want to do these tasks. So if it's something that you're really just not into, making it a routine can make you more likely, I think, to get it done, whether you're motivated or not. Obviously, motivation is huge. So you've got to find it somewhere, even if it's for these tasks that you don't want to do. But like for me, as much as I enjoy the outcome of cleaning, I have not been a huge fan of cleaning in recent years. It's not something that brings me a whole lot of joy to do. And I always feel like I don't want to take the time because I want to use that time for something else. So rather than give myself the choice, I have created a routine around cleaning, and my family and I, we kind of go in on it together, and we know that this day this cleaning task is meant to be done, and this day this cleaning task is meant to be done. And if we do it most of the time, our home stays in a reasonable state. But just having that expectation, okay, it's Tuesday, it's time to vacuum again. Okay, it's Thursday, we've got to clean the bathroom. These days we do the laundry. And so it's not so much an emotional decision, or it's not really one that leaves a lot of room for me to think it over and think, oh, I really don't have time for that today. Instead, it's our cleaning routine, and I do design it so that it fits within our work schedules well, and it's not overbearing. But these are tasks that I'm not really excited about, to be real honest with you. So creating a routine for them and then just sticking to it without giving it too much thought or too much emotion has been a really helpful thing. So that's another situation where you might choose a routine. Okay, so this video had a lot more talking than what I'm used to, and I'm tired. But we're gonna keep going just to do our 5 breaths of meditation. This time, I want to just give you some questions to consider. So it's not the same as usual. I'm not asking you to just bring your attention to your breath or think about an affirmation of truth or anything like that, but just breathe deeply and then I'm gonna, instead of counting the breaths for you, I'm gonna ask you these questions and allow you to keep breathing deeply on your own as you consider the answers, and then we'll wrap up. All right, so go ahead and exhale to begin. And close your eyes if you like, and inhale. And exhale. And now go at your own pace and consider these questions. What routines are serving you well? What routines would you like to change? Take one more breath and join me. Okay, so open your eyes again if you close them, and just think about what answers came to mind for those questions. Kind of let them soak in, and then I'll continue to offer some helpful tips and ideas about rhythms and routines over the next week. And then next weekend on Saturday, the 18th, I'll have a workshop called Crafting Rhythms and Routines, in which we'll talk about all these things and actually do the work to figure out what routine or what rhythm fits you best based on who you are and how you function, how you like to operate. So whether you're a morning person or a night owl, whether you are highly motivated or struggling to find motivation, what rhythms and routines can help turn your situation around from struggling to hang on and get these things done to getting them done consistently. So join me for that on Saturday, September 18th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And you can also watch a recorded version for a week after the live event. So check out the link in my profile to sign up for that. So I like to close with prayer. I always pray to Jesus, so you're welcome to join me. And if this is the end of the video for you, I thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon. For those of us who are sticking around, let's pray. Dear Lord, I thank you for another Friday morning. Thank you for beautiful weather that lets me know that fall is coming, and I'm so excited about it. Thank you for an opportunity to reassess the rhythms and the routines that have been serving us so far this year, and for the opportunity to adjust them, to adjust the plans, to learn from how things went before and make them better. And Lord, I just pray that as we pursue improving our own lives, that we would be primarily seeking your glory and seeking your face, seeking to know you more, and that we would seek you with our whole hearts and find you and be pleased with you, delighted in you as you are in us. So now, Lord, I pray that you bless each person watching or listening, and just give us good days today. Give us the clarity of mind to understand what's going on, what's keeping us from being consistent in our routines in the first place. Help us to get to the roots of the problems and live out solutions. And I pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a great day.